Hey guys, welcome to Gabfocus. You might be a little bit surprised to not see our co-host Tommy because he is actually on site in the Ozarks at the trade show, and they scheduled the trade show for the same time as Gabfocus. So he cannot be with us, but you have me, and hopefully I will do a fantastic job in his absence. But we are joined by the beautiful Jane Sauls, and she could lead this on her own. This topic is not new to her, and I know you're going to kill it today. So, super excited. We're going to be talking about elevating your marketing through curb appeal. Jane is with the Sauls Self Storage Group. I'm sure you have seen her and Luke around at different events. So today's setup, if you haven't joined us before, if today's your first time, we have about 60 minutes and we're going to talk about the topics and answer the questions. And I'm just going to kind of feed questions that we already have. But if you guys have questions, please, please, please ask them. If they are pertinent to the section of conversation that we are already in, I will feed those into Jane, or we can tackle them at the end. So be sure you put them in the Q&A piece though, not in the chat, because if you put them in the chat, I might miss them, especially since it's just me today. So put all your questions in the Q&A, and I think that's it. Jane, you've done this before. Do you have any questions? Are we good?
Oh, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. So today's agenda is all about that curb appeal. We're going to talk about physical curb appeal, online curb appeal, and then we will have time for some Q&A hopefully at the end where we can just bust through any extra questions that we haven't hit. Okay? And you guys are already adding questions to the Q&A and we haven't even started yet. This is awesome.
This
All
is
right.
going to be a test, isn't it?
Yes, this is going to be really good. All right. Tommy's going to hate that he missed this one. So, Jane, why don't you take a minute and just tell everybody about Jane Sauls, just so they know who's talking to us today?
Absolutely awesome. So I'm Jane Sauls with Sauls Storage Group. Luke Sauls, my middle son, is also my business partner. And so we're real estate brokers and have been now for quite a while. But I came into the industry about 2006-ish. And I came in from the development side of things. And so it was a ground up project that I actually went to the Vegas workshop and learned about the whole development side of things. And then I came back and just started like changing things and tweaking stuff that I had learned from that. Had a best time, brought that one from the ground up, implemented operations. And then from there, just so amazed by the business model. I'm an accountant by degree. And so always looking to look at business models, crunch numbers, financial controller side of things, always looking for that. But once I become familiar with the business model of self-storage, like all of the others just hit the wayside for me. And
You
so
fell in love with it, didn't you?
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
We laugh because Luke and I say we sling storage, and we don't really know exactly what that says about our personalities, if that we find that so exciting and so passionate. I also developed one that I own and operate, and then we manage another one nearby. Management is not our platform. That's just something we know how to do. And from a local perspective, it works for the other facility for us to manage. We've also added to our services, construction and development. Like that's I have a huge love for that anyway. And so we've been so excited this year to add to construction and development. We were just focused in the Southeast from a brokerage perspective, but we've branched out now and doing that nationwide as well.
That
So
is awesome.
I'm just glad to be here. I was thinking about, okay, curb appeal, I'm going to put my owner hat on, but y'all, I'm not putting my owner hat on because curb appeal is connected so closely to valuations. And I'm going to tell you, I don't take my broker hat off because everything I do has got to be revolving around what that's going to do to the value of my facility. So I'm coming at you both ways. You're going to get some owner real talk and then some broker input as well.
I was going to say, you have a unique perspective as a broker because you are an owner. And that you can speak to other owners who are looking to buy or looking to sell, and you can really resonate with them in a way that many brokers can't, because you already have that viewpoint, which is fantastic. And you've done the development side. So again, you really bring a lot to the table as a broker, and I love that. I think that your clients probably get a little bit more in that a relationship with you than they would maybe with someone else because of that. You bring a lot to the table. So I feel like you don't take off one hat and replace it with another. You just keep stacking them on, and you
Yes.
just have bunches of hats on.
Yes,
So,
yes,
which is
that's
great.
exactly right.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So, okay, we want to spend as much time answering these questions and going through the outline as possible. So, I'm just going to throw it right to you,
Mhm.
and let's just talk about this first. Why should we care about curb appeal, and what do you mean when we say curb appeal?
Yeah, like when I see like on the list, and it says why should you care about curb appeal? I'm like, oh, why would you not care about curb appeal?
Yes.
So, but let's talk about what we're talking about with curb appeal. To me, there's two different kinds, Melissa, of curb
Okay.
appeal. And I refer to the first one as your primary curb appeal. And that's what your community sees when they drive by. Because sometimes we're thinking like what the customer sees, but they may not be a customer yet, right? And so they may be running 60 miles per hour by your site, or you may be at the intersection where they stop. And so, whatever your community is seeing and what you're putting out there, that is like so important from that curb appeal perspective. What they see translates into what they feel when they see your property. So, if they feel good about you being a part of their community, and so, curb appeal goes all the way down to, do you have trash on the facility, and then
Mhm.
you've got what I refer to as secondary curb appeal. Luke said he was like, did you just make that up? Because I don't know if I've heard of that. So so no, that secondary curb appeal for me is when that's what your customer sees after they go through the gate, after they rent a unit. Because sometimes we just think curb appeal, and if you drive down the road going 60, and what your customer sees on the back side of that third building isn't important, and how you're taken care of around your retention pond isn't important. Y'all, it is. It is. So that is curb appeal. Curb appeal is absolutely any and everything that you can lay your eyes on when you stand back and look at your facility. And I think one of the best ways to capture that is, and Josh does a great job of this from the photography perspective, but if you can get some pictures and then look at them, take pictures of your facility just every season, and then go back and look at those pictures not in the same season. Because you're going to see, if you're already driving your property every day, those pictures, you think you already know what your curb appeal is. But if you'll go back and look at pictures, you'll be like, oh, that paint is fading.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that flower bed. Oh, wow. And this and that. So curb appeal is what you see, but most importantly, the curb appeal is what the others feel when they see your property.
I love it. So it's the translation. And I love that you mentioned it's not just your customers, it is the people who aren't your customers yet, because that customer journey starts before they become a customer. It starts before they discover you as a potential solution to their need if they don't know they have the need yet. So love that. Love that.
Storage has become much like even where we live. Because, if you're like, oh, well, I live such and such, and you kind of have, some folks may have what they feel like bragging rights, or what they're proud. Storage is no different. Because if you're
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah, I store at such and such, and you don't have good curb appeal or known well in your community, they're like, ooh, I wouldn't put my stuff there.
Yeah.
You, you
Yeah.
know,
And you don't want it, you as a customer, you don't want other people to say, "Ooh, you put your stuff in that storage unit? That's
yes,
disgusting." Yeah.
yes. So what your
like your living room
community
furniture would
sees,
go there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a big deal. All right. So that kind of leads us into why should you care about your curb appeal? How does it specifically attract leads? And how does it encourage reviews from current tenants even?
yes. And when I read that, how does it attract leads? It's not really how it attracts leads for me. It's which leads are you attracting? Because you are attracting somebody.
Yeah.
And is it the best
Oh, I
customer in
love
your
it.
market? That's, to me, that's the whole shift. It's because even as people, as we go along our daily walk, like what kind of people are we attracting to us, right? Our properties are no different. When you look at your property, just think, who am I attracting to my property? Who is that lead? And you know, the lead today that because we do say it's every rental matters, it's every rental that can pay their bill matters.
Right. Right.
Because what we have now in the whole curb appeal, race for rentals, chase to the bottom for some markets is truly, I think some people are going to get bit from that collection perspective
Right.
in the end. And once you start attracting that tenant, it is really hard to flip your facility.
And
So
once you start attracting that tenant, that attracts more just like that tenant. And
yes,
that's who you have a facility full of. Yeah.
yes. Yes. So curb appeal isn't how to attract tenants. It is what tenant are you attracting? And you want to attract the one that has money to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that applies to any area that you have your facility in.
Yes.
Absolutely any area.
Yes.
So let's see here. We've got a comment. Joan said, I think people have a preconceived notion about self-storage and how it looks. We've evolved as an industry, and I love to change their notion with a well manicured, attractive, clean facility. And that is so true. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of facilities out there that don't meet that well manicured, attractive, clean description at all. So yeah, we do have our work cut out of for us for sure. So how does having that good curb appeal translate to reviews from current tenants? How does it encourage that?
People love to share their good experience. And for the most part, when you ask for those reviews, they're going to be willing to give those by you asking for it. So they want to be able to give you that, right? But having that curb appeal, how can we put this? It gives them something to talk about. And not only does it goes back to that quality of lead. Like if I see, some people carry different weight, right? When you see a review and it's coming from someone in your community that you probably don't want to be in the same facility with, it's that quality of lead.
Oh, I think you froze.
Quality of tenant.
Okay, you completely froze on my end, so I don't know if that was me or you that froze there.
Okay, am I good now?
Yeah. Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, okay. So can you repeat that last phrase that you had? Because I think everybody missed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just tell you that I'm not really sure what I just said. No,
I love it. That's awesome.
I'm just teasing. I'll make something up since y'all don't know if I'm gonna say the same thing or not, right?
Exactly. We missed it the first time, so it's totally
Yeah.
okay.
So, no, that quality of lead that your curb appeal is attracting, the importance of curb appeal attracts the higher quality of lead, and that lead that hits your Google review is going to be that higher quality. I don't mean that Google is going to recognize it any differently, but your people in your community, that there's indicators on there when they leave a review that is going to indicate what caliber person is storing at your facility.
Yes.
And that is as tactfully as I know how to say that. But
Well,
the curb appeal that's going to feed through to hit that.
Well, let's talk about the other side of that, because I know it's hard to be tactful about that. But let's talk about what the poor curb appeal actually does, because you, like you said, you are attracting somebody. So if the good curb appeal is doing this, let's just talk openly about it. What does that poor curb appeal do to your facility?
Oh, it is going to attract the folks who, I'm just going to say, aren't known for paying their bills. They aren't known for keeping their own property clean or in shape. They also aren't known for storing anything of much value. So they're,
Good point.
again, they're not known from a good stewardship perspective. So
Mhm.
they're probably not taking care of your property or theirs. And they likely may not have a true sense of obligation or conviction to pay their bills.
Right. And you also will likely attract the thieves, and because if your property's not kept well, it's a huge signal that no one's really watching it. And
Mhm,
so that's just an easy target. So,
mhm. Yep.
all right. So how can curb appeal help you compete against larger operators?
Oh my goodness. Sometimes these big guys, they're cookie cutter, more cookie cutter oriented, and they've basically taken what their usual model is and just kind of plunk it on that parcel or what have you. So your curb appeal is going to set you apart in the sense of you're going to have that time and attention to where I saw one of the questions earlier about how to incorporate your surroundings and your community into that. So your curb appeal begins at construction, period. And I know some of you all already have existing facilities, but you still can do some things to remodel and change. But when you are looking at your site, curb appeal, and yes, it goes, don't just stop on the outside. That's exactly right. Curb appeal includes wide drive aisles. Because like if you and I know that may sound simple, but no, curb appeal is what you see. And if people are driving by your site and they see all your tight turns, that's going to create a ceiling on that rent revenue management that you're going to be pushing. A parapet wall takes a whole different look to the building. Higher ceilings, retail storefront doors where you have glass. As far as once you get on the inside of the property, my favorite layout is the one I actually have it at Little Vine. And so you can stand in the center of that building and see out 4 different ways right there. You through glass doors. And so you are never behind a solid door to where you don't know what's on the other side of it. So that's that secondary part of the curb appeal that really is what your customer experiences. I'm not talking about the customer service part. I'm not talking about, if you welcomed them in and all of that stuff and they found their unit. I'm talking about the curb appeal of, did they feel safe on your property? Was it clean? Was it well lit? On the inside part of it, the curb appeal that we have, mostly we have a lot of women that store with us at Little Vine. And one of the things that we have been told a handful of times is they love that the lights don't turn off.
Yeah.
At no given time, our lights turn, well, I'm sorry, after access hours, our lights do turn off. Now, from a stewardship perspective of somebody who grew up that got in trouble if you went out of the room and left the light on, this is the true challenge. But y'all, we ran the math as far as the way those LED lights are pulling energy these days. It's of no money or minimum money to leave the lights on during those access hours. So they never turn a hallway and see any kind of darkness whatsoever. They can already see out if it's daylight, but then it's well lit as well. So
Oh, I
they're,
love that.
yeah. And so like during the construction phase, like do a rock knee wall. And then it's the little bitty things like do a black chain link fence. Those look so much sharper than just your standard galvanized chain fence. And when you do a fence, goodness, y'all, keep it clean. Keep your fence clean. It's the little things in the curb appeal that's just going to make a big difference in the overall appearance. Keep the backside property on the fence on the back of the property. That should be just as clean as up there on the front side.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we do forget about the other side of our properties sometimes. You're exactly right. We only worry about what people see when they drive by, and we forget that there's more to it than that. So there's a lot to consider with curb appeal. So how much time should we spend on curb appeal versus other marketing tactics that we would that also need our attention?
That's a hard question to answer in the sense of how much time, in the sense of, well, should it be a third of the time, half the time, an hour, 2 hours, or this kind of thing? What I'm going to tell you is that your curb appeal spills over and is your marketing. And so it's not like I'm in this bucket and I'm working on my curb appeal, and then I'm over here in this bucket working on this other marketing. Whatever it is I'm marketing includes my curb appeal in some way, fashion, or form. And so at any given time when you do a marketing piece, you are probably marketing some of your curb appeal to some extent. And so I don't really see that as much of a separation or different buckets to be in as I do just because here's like when we market ourselves as brokers, okay, it's the person, right, that we're marketing. Truly it is. It's the relationship. And we are very intentional, and we are intentional to be real, relatable, and reliable. Like that's our test. When we push something out, when I present today, when I'm talking to y'all, when I get finished with this, I'm going to go back through and do my mental checklist of, was I real, was I relatable, was I reliable? And when you do a marketing piece and it is on curb appeal or anything, any marketing piece, your property itself has to be real, relatable, and reliable. So when you achieve that, it's authentic. And so when it shows up online, it has got to be exactly what they see when they pull up in your gate. So like people don't like to go somewhere for the first time because they're afraid they're going to look awkward. They don't want to figure out like which this or that. But if you can make them online feel like they've already been to your property, then the comfort and the ease and the experience is going to be so much better. So when you take your online presence and match it with your on-site presence and have an amazing curb appeal in doing that, I think that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's great. Okay, so the physical curb appeal is what we are marketing in our marketing, obviously. So how do we achieve that this property is taken care of kind of vibe? How do we present that message of there is someone here and they are just killing it with taking care of this property all the time?
Do it like, you mean like from the perspective of how do you present that online?
Well, I think more from a physical standpoint. So about the lighting and the cleanliness and the landscaping and the what kinds of things should have our focus so that it gets that message across when people do drive by that, wow, this is really well maintained.
I think if you want to relay the message of being well maintained, you've got to zone in on the absolute smallest of details and try to put your hat on as if you just bought it again. I don't know if you can tell I have a road sign that I have at Little Vine that I normally don't even have anything storage related on it because I just have other messages that people have just been drawn to and they talk about a lot. But okay, so this, can you see how dingy that is?
Yeah.
That's what happens. The sun, right? It just bleaches that out. And it drives me insane because these letters don't last forever. And I don't have an electronic board. I have mixed feelings on if that's truly the ones who get read the most. But I've got new letters. Okay. These are going out this week on my next message. See how clean it is? And I'm
Yeah.
going to take my Windex and my paper towels down to my road sign, and I'm going to clean that road sign. And even though when you're going 60, you're thinking, who's going to notice that? But when you've got to dump that attitude of who's going to notice that, and you've got to start getting the weeds up between where your concrete comes together with your asphalt. You've got to make sure that your bollards are straight and tight, right? And then, they do those bollard covers that are really inexpensive. So if your bollards are not looking spiffy, get new bollard covers. I mean, like there's a whole lot we can move in to do, and with that, talk about that as well on the actual different things that you can do.
So you mentioned lighting earlier. You guys have LED throughout, I would imagine, right? Just that super bright, clean lighting. Yeah, I can that really changes. That's an easy thing to change, to upgrade. If your lighting was done 20, 30 years ago and they're all yellow and looking dingy too, because that's exactly what happened. It makes the prettiest, whitest interior facility look kind of dingy when your lights are yellow.
Yes.
Replace those with the LED bright lights, and oh my goodness, your hallways will glow and
Yes.
be absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you are dealing with a facility that has interior colored doors, like dark green doors and something like that, those hallways can be so dark and just so they immediately look dirty. They don't look clean, and they don't look safe. But if
No.
you change your lighting, that can help even dark color doors. If you can't afford to change the color of the paint, you can add lighting, and that helps a lot. So
Yes. Yes. We also did on lighting, you've got your outdoor lighting on like our parapet walls. We put the gooseneck lighting on that, so that dresses that up. And
yeah.
then, if it is to where you can put a pole and lights from the power company, that's usually, and the community will smile upon that for you. That's another good way to just make it a well lit facility, especially if you have parking. If you have parking, make sure that you're keeping that with no water standing, and that that those little things are huge.
Yeah. Yeah. The Shannon mentioned it's all about the corners. Everyone cleans the middle, and the corners are where all the details and the caring actually shines through. That has always my pet peeve when I go into a hallway and the center of the floor looks great, but you can tell someone just used a push broom and just went straight down the middle, and all of the dirt is up against the doors. And that's exactly where you don't want it to be, because that's the part your tenant has to actually touch. And you don't want to push all of that dirt and grime up against their door. So take extra care, just a few extra minutes, and actually get all of the corners, and that shows, again, like Shannon said, that you really do care. Jenny also made a good point. Drive by at night and
Yes.
make sure that all those lights actually work, and make sure they're bright enough. Make sure that, you think they're bright enough, that some of those wall packs, they start to go dim, and next thing you know, all the lighting that you thought you had, it's not really doing the job that you think it's doing. Take a look on your cameras. Can you see anything at night through those cameras? Because if you don't have good lighting, you're not going to be able to see anything. So,
And on your lighting, make sure that all your bulbs are the same color.
yeah.
Like when you are paying attention to the little details, your customers will resonate with that. They will appreciate that. And it is implied to them that you are taking care of the big things. And so the littlest of details, when you start zoning in on them, you will see that's when your whole property has a little bit different of a pop to it. And I think, Melissa, in talking about curb appeal, because I know like lots of folks understand the physical side of it and then relating that to online. But I do want to hit, if we got time, relating that to your bank account.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we've talked through most of like the physical pieces. I think let me hop to this one question and then we will definitely talk about online. And I think we will have time to do the bank account piece too. Um, are there particular physical amenities that you find from your owner's hat here that matter most to your customers?
For me, I'm going to tell you that it's going to like, I'm going to say, read the room, understand your customer, because what's important to my customer may not be in somebody else's. For my customer, it is largely that female who feels good about coming to that property. So she's going to like it, everything about it that's clean. I would say you have an amazing facility when people just tell you they love to store there and they can't put their finger on one thing. That's when you've nailed it. Because think, when you get all dressed up and go somewhere, you don't want people to talk about like your earrings or that dress looks amazing. You want them to say, the whole idea is, oh, wow, look at Melissa, she's radiant tonight. And they can't put their finger on it, but you brought it all together and everything about you is radiant. And so that is, to me, that's the best compliment when you get your customers to say initially, I just love it here. I just love it here. I love everything about it. And so sometimes they don't even know that rock knee wall has had an impact on that image, right? They don't know that asphalt and extra wide turns on the end of the building is what's made them comfortable. They don't know that your bright logo colors has welcomed them with that clean, crisp feel as well. And then the way it smells when they come into the facility. So like, it depends on where you're at with your facility, truly. But the littlest of things, including just keep your grass cut. like, and we have a lot of grass at Little Vine. So fortunately, we're not the ones now that cut that, but we were at one point, we were. So just be sure, and it goes all the way back to construction. If you're going to need 500 bales of pine straw to keep your landscape looking good, then you better have that in your operations budget for 500 bales of pine straw. And so however your facility presents itself in that market, if you need to brighten up your doors, if you need to do some pressure washing, and sometimes it's easier if somebody else will come visit your facility.
And point those things out. Yeah.
Oh, I have one particular friend in the industry, and no matter how hard I think I've done on a facility, especially on a construction job site as we're buttoning it up, when he walks it, I know I'm gonna get my feelings hurt.
Oh no.
I mean, that's why he's there. I say
but
get
it's
my feelings
good.
hurt. But it's good because he's gonna see all of those things that I didn't, all the way down to the way that your doors and hallways are installed and your corner pieces are put on. I don't know, if you're looking for someone to walk your property that has the mindset that would notice the outlets on your covers, even in your house, if the screws aren't all up and down, right? You're looking for somebody that's got a little OCD tendency to come walk your property and help you see what you can't see.
The friend that will tell you the truth, not that just tells you look good and just move on, but they'll actually tell you your hair's crazy today. What did you do? So, or that makeup, it's not on point. Let's go fix it. Yeah. So online curb appeal, let's go ahead and flip over to that. We've talked about all the physical things that you can do. So now let's talk about what exactly is online curb appeal and why does that matter?
Well, because who's not online?
That's a good point.
So my mother is online. Like there's no excuses now to saying, oh, but my customer is this or my customer is that. I'm going to tell you to get your head out of the sand. Your customers are online, period. Yeah. And so everything that you put out there has got to go back to being that real, relatable, and reliable. And once you become who you are online is who you are in person, whether that be me and you, Melissa, or be our properties. That's when your online marketing truly takes off, because there's still tremendous word of mouth, right? And even though that we refer to it as word of mouth, it may just be a Google review, but those things are going to start hitting and taking effect once you stay true to who your property really is. And so you can't use that stock image or anything else. You've got to use, and if you're ashamed of what your property looks like, you're like, no, we don't have any good pictures. Well, then think that one through.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't, your physical curb appeal does not have to be flashy and expensive. It needs to be clean. It needs to be clean, neat, and bright. And anyone can do all of those things. But if you can't afford the flashy or the super fancy light fixtures, or if you can't do, that's fine. And if you can't afford to have like crazy landscaping, again, totally fine. Cut the grass, keep the weeds gone. And those are things that absolutely anyone can do. You can keep your paint fresh, you can keep it clean, and you can keep everything in good working order. You can keep the weeds out of the chain link fence. Those are things that absolutely every single property that's represented on this call today can do. It's just that many of them don't. And that does translate over into your online curb appeal. And so many times you mentioned those stock photos. Oh my goodness. How many times do we see stock photos of something, and in the stock photo, it's a green door and it's, concrete driveways, and you get to the location and it's gravel and the doors are blue and they're falling off their hinges. So it's not the same thing. So don't think that, oh, well, I've captured that tenant, I'm good to go, because that is not true.
No.
Keep right on driving. All right.
Yeah, so it's got to match up.
It does. It has to match. So on the online curb appeal, it's going to take time and definite attention. So which parts of the online curb appeal deserve your focus when we're talking about maintaining that picture that people see?
Oh, I think you've got to truly know your audience. Like some markets, social media and Facebook may work well. And, sometimes we have like the debates, right, at the different conferences on which one is which. You can't ignore or ever go wrong off the Google My Business,
right,
or whatever they're being called now.
The Google business profile.
Yes. So obviously that, but sometimes those places you may not have control over, so to speak. But what you do have control over is your website. So it's your website that is truly, to me, the biggest. And like, I can't help what other people put out there about Jane Sauls, but I can help what Jane Sauls puts out there about Jane Sauls, right? And so no different than your facility. Your website, you own it. And so you need to act like you own it and make sure it's up to par and does everything that it needs to do, along with truly representing what your facility really is.
Love it. Absolutely love that. The social media pages, you mentioned social media a little bit there too. There is that hot debate of, is social media worth it? And I think for the most part, we pretty much agree it's worth it. It may not need to be the time suck that we sometimes, can get lost in, but don't ignore social media, because your customers are out there on that. So, but the point of any of these things are, especially social media, if you're going to start it, you have to be consistent. You have to actually work it. Don't create a Facebook page and then just leave it out there that you never update. Your Google business profile, when you claim that, actually keep it active, because people are looking. If the last time a business had a review was 18 months ago, I'm going to question, is this business actually doing anything? And why are customers not still commenting on it today if they were commenting on it 18 months ago? So make sure that you stay consistent and active with those things. How can you boost your online curb appeal? What are some of those things that you can do to make those things really shine?
feel like it's the things that we've just talked about. Sometimes you don't realize where people are looking. I guess that did happen for us this past winter. We was doing some Facebook marketing and felt like I had an okay following, but it was like, I don't know if we're getting any traction on this or not. Let's do it a little while longer. Well, the keypad froze up one cold day. And so we just put a message on there that was like, hey, thanks for your patience. Our keypad is froze up. Stay tuned, stay home, go eat something warm. I mean, people didn't need to be on the roads anyway.
Right.
Oh my gosh, my text message was blowing up. Like, you need me to come look at your gate for you? And people giving me a hard time jokingly about my keypad and I didn't like the cold. Anyway, when that went out, so we had to push back out a few hours later. The keypad issues were resolved. But that, I was glad that we did that. For one, we kept it real. We didn't try to act like something wasn't happening, right? And then we updated them as well, so they knew when it was working. But for me, it was learning, we got a few more people paying attention, and a few more stalkers is what I call them, because they don't click like or anything else. They're just scrolling through looking at your stuff, right? So sometimes you just don't know where that's coming from. But again, how you boost your online is you make sure that it's transparently the same as who you really are, as in who your facility truly is.
Max just commented, for social media, don't be too risky on business pages. Post business stuff, not political stuff. I completely agree. Keep anything that could be controversial or, something that's likely to start an argument, keep that off there, but keep it fun. It doesn't have to just be my 10 by 10s or $100 this month. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something fun. It can be, it's National Ice Cream Day. What kind of ice cream did you go get? It can be fun stuff. Make it social, because it is a social platform. People want to see people. They don't necessarily want to see a metal box with a concrete floor. It's really boring. Storage is not that sexy. It's just not. So don't try to make it into something that it isn't. Keep it social. But like you said, you may do things on social media and not know that it's having any impact. And sometimes you're wondering, are people even seeing this? Like, no one's really interacting. But how many times do you really interact with your storage company if you're a tenant? Okay, that's not something that you're really doing often. But the times that you post something that's really important to the tenants, like the keypad, you're going to realize, wow, I really do have some people that are watching this. So I better mind my P's and Q's and do what I need to do. So a couple ways that you can also boost it, like, you're taking so much care of your property and making it shine. Take good photos. Like we mentioned earlier, not using stock photos, but you need actual pictures. People need to see videos. How often do you scroll through on your phone and watch videos of people doing the most random stuff? So post videos. I know Max is really great about that. Every Monday, I think it is.
On site.
Yeah, on site, where you can see that facility in the background. Yeah. So do your pictures, do your videos. What do you think about virtual tours? Do you see that often?
I have personally not done those, but I love it. I have on the website, I do have kind of a virtual tour, but I think that those are well received. Max does, when he's on site, that's somewhat of given that same feel of that. That's anytime you can make that customer feel like they've been there before, that gets a big check in my box. One of the other things on boosting the curb appeal, I have the road sign we were talking about, and I'm on a state highway. And so I put these, the message that I'm putting out there is non-storage related, and people have loved that. And what I do for the online side, I just take those pictures and then I post them online. And so you're getting my road sign with my positive message. And so then I can get people to share that message. And as a result, you just shared the company, right?
Yes.
And then you've also recognized, like, you're, oh, I go by there. And so, and even if you know, or when you do drive that way, you're like, oh, that's where she's at. That's where they've been talking about. And so
Yep.
making that connection of making someone feel like they've already been there, they already know you, they already know your property. I think that is the magic of actually online.
You're really using your signage, your signboard as kind of a social platform
Mhm.
because you're using it to create conversation. And I know, I think Bev is on this call. She has Murfreesboro storage. She does the same thing. She has had people actually stop on the side of the road to take a selfie with the sign because it says something really cute. And it's just, she has people send her messages all the time, you know, oh,
Uh-huh.
you should post this on there.
Uh-huh.
So it really is a social platform. It's
Mhm.
just old school. And I think
Yes.
people really like that.
Yes,
And
yes,
you
that's
get
fine.
used to
Like,
it.
yes, like we don't have the now the electronic board is expensive. I'm not making light of like saying that, oh no, we don't have one because like we like, I mean, it is expensive. So we're
Mhm.
like, but this has just been, people do appreciate some old schoolness
Yeah.
to them as well. You
Yeah.
know, it may not be in the old school perspective, school of thinking is going to be who you want to be doing your insurance and who you want to be taking care of your storage. You know, it may not be who you want to go have supper with Friday night,
Right.
but you've got to think about who you're going for, if you will.
Mhm. Okay, so speaking of signage, we do have Keith has posted on here. What's the best signage to display when your office is off of a main highway? And so, of course, yours is. So you can speak to this. There, I hear this question a lot of like, how much information should I put on my main sign, or should it just be basic, that kind of thing? What's your take on the signage to display?
Oh, my messages are minimum in length and they are seriously non-storage related. If you cannot tell that we are a storage facility, you're probably not a good you're probably not a good customer for me, right?
Right.
And so what I want, like, people will text me if I don't change that board often enough. And so they will be like, I keep waiting for a new message. But no, I keep it to where my longer I'm at the you like that? Again, I don't know if anybody's not watching, but I'm doing some definite sign languages right here.
Yeah.
So I'm on the corner, right? And so if you're going to be at that stop sign, that side of my board gets my longer message for whatever that week is. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to keep it short and keep it simple. And then the other message, sometimes they're kind of related. And then sometimes they're not, but they're going to just be short and quick. It's probably going to be something that's just been weighing on my mind, or something maybe that I'm struggling with, or maybe somebody that I've talked to that I think that would encourage them. You know, it could be as something as simple as God is good all the time. You know, it doesn't really, it's going to be short and sweet every time, and then it's going to be positive and uplifting every time. And so I'm just looking to capture them and get them looking at my board. That's, you know,
Okay.
and get them talking about my board.
And
And
then
so
for the business information itself, is it just the logo, or is it your website, your phone number, what kind of stuff as far as that's concerned?
mine is the logo and the website, I believe. Yes, logo and website, because I don't encourage people to call me.
No, I love it. I love it. Well, and I think too, you remember that they're going down the road, 20, 40, 60 miles an
Mhm.
hour, whatever it may be. They're not going to be writing down a phone number. We're past the days of that. So now if they see the logo Little Vine Storage, they're going to go Google it. So
Mhm.
that's when you need to make sure that you're showing up appropriately on Google if someone's doing
Mhm.
that kind of search. And then overloading it with too much information like climate control storage, or we have RV, or we have, sometimes we try to almost make our signage into a business card or into a flyer, and that's not what it's there for. It's
No.
to identify where you're at.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's it. That's it.
Yes. What is on my signage is enough to where when you take a picture of it, you know exactly what I do and who I am. So I think it is Little Vine Storage, and then it has maybe something climate non. I don't even really remember right now. Oh, you know what? I'll have to post a picture this evening on my story.
There you go. There you
So
go.
if you don't follow me on Facebook, follow me. I'll try to post a picture and you can kind of see.
Love it. Love it. And Facebook's another place where you could take a picture of your road sign when you've added fun sentences to it and phrases that you're like, I can actually share this on my social platform too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
get even more traction there. So Jenny had a comment in the chat. What do you think about the logo and a QR code? But again, I think it's one of those, like a QR code or specific information that's better like on a gate sign or by the keypad or on the office door. Think McDonald's. They don't have anything but the arches. That's it, because we just need to know that I've reached McDonald's. If I need to know their store hours or how to contact them, I'm going to pull around to the door. I know where to go to find that information. That's okay. People are used to doing that. So don't overload with too much detail on your actual main signage. You're just crowding it up and no one's really going to use that. So what features about the online curb appeal are most important to you at Little Vine? What is it that you focus on?
You're gonna I guess I got the same answer to all the questions, but I cannot focus enough. Like the features, as far as like just being that real, relatable, and reliable. What features do you mean particularly? Like when we go to my website, I want to make sure that there's minimum clicks, those kind of features, or
Yeah.
what
That's
specifically are you
Yeah,
wanting to
no,
know?
I think you're going the right direction. Like the features of the online curb appeal, what are you looking for that you're focusing on? So I think, with the website having the fewest number of clicks, you're wanting to make sure you've got that feature represented on your website. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I want to know that you can, my online presence and my online curb appeal, you find me, you know that you have found me, because in some markets, properties are pretty close, right? Now, in my market, like, it's obvious, but I want you to find me and know that you have found me. I want you to be able to drive to me. I want you to be able to know what to do when you get there. And then while you are online looking at me, I want to be sure that it was obvious what to do. And so if you're wondering like, well, how do I make sure that that's in place? You get somebody who doesn't think storage or do storage. For me, it's my better half. I get him to rent a unit like every now and then, and I just watch over his shoulder, right? Because he's in and out of our facility, but he don't handle the operations and the rental side. So if I want to see the rental process, I'm going to get Nathan to rent a unit. Maybe you have your mom and you don't say a word to them. All you can do is look over your shoulder because you want to see where they struggle and what don't make sense to them. And so because that is, we say online curb appeal, but it truly feeds into, like we were saying, that curb appeal is how it makes them feel. And so, you want to make sure that they have felt like they have felt successful and not challenged, that they've not felt, frustrated over it and got all flustered from renting the unit, that they know exactly. Like we've just gone through implementing a call center, and that has kind of taken us several different weekends to work through some things that we didn't know was a problem, like that weren't a problem before. And so, and it wasn't, so listen to your customer. If you want your online experience to be amazing, listen closely to your customer, what their feedback is, and then what it is that you need to change and tweak. Even if it's in your instructions as a part of our online experience in curb appeal, when you complete your rental, it tells you that there is a little blue tie wire on your unit to take your hand, twist it until it breaks. Because people think, oh, do I need something to cut it with? No, take your hand, twist it until it breaks. Yep. Slide the latch to the left, roll up the door. Inside will be a goodie bag with your brand new disc lock. You will need a pocket knife or a pair of scissors to open this.
Mhm.
You know, all of those little things is a part of that online curb appeal, online experience that's going to make that customer not call me and go, there's this thing on my door. Like, is somebody like, I thought this one
Yeah.
was mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
love
know,
it. And I love the watching over the shoulder because that's got to be really revealing when you're watching over the shoulder and you can see like that mouse is just circling the whole screen and it's like, where's the button that I'm supposed to click on? I'm lost. That how long is it taking me to scroll through the screen to find what I need to click on next? I think that's great. So don't just depend on them to go evaluate your online piece and then tell you how their experience was.
nope.
Actually watch them walk through it. I love that.
And the most important part, because I'm like, it's right there. It's right there.
Don't you see the button?
Yes. But you have to keep your mouth closed and quietly watch over their shoulder. No
Love
hint.
it. I will also say, Josh and we just did the drive through Louisiana for our membership drive. And
Mhm.
what we would run into a lot is we found locations online. And when you start to follow Google, it'll take you to the very back corner where there's not even a gate access or it's a street over or people make the mistake of putting their Google pin right in the dead center of their property, and then that means that Google has to find its own way to get to that pin. Okay, and it will figure out its own way what it thinks is best. Make sure your pin is actually at your entrance to your facility. So if you have there's lots of places that they may have to you pull off the main road and maybe you drive past the car wash to get into the storage facility. Your pin needs to be where that entrance is, because if you just put it smack dab in the middle of your climate control building in the center of your property, Google's like, there's no road here. How do I get? And it will just figure out a way. And most of the time that way is wrong. So go actually attempt to follow Google to your property and see if it actually works. So lots of times it doesn't. Jenny said, yep, that's our challenge. Our entrance is around the corner. So you need to take a look at where your Google pin is and get that updated maybe to make sure that it is correct. So okay, let me see. Let's switch to that gear of how does online curb appeal, how does physical curb appeal, all these things we've been talking about, how does that relate to the bottom dollar, to our bank account?
Yes. Yes. That is like, you can get your mind wrapped around, you can pull up to your facility and you can go, okay, I need to do that. I need to do this. But do you truly understand why it's important, what customer you're attracting, right? Because we talked about that quality of lead. That quality of lead is going to roll into that customer that can pay more for that 10 by 10 unit, that not only can pay more, but will pay more because of that curb appeal, right? And so when you do those extra things and bring in that client, that customer, you're also going to want to be sure the other piece of that is that you are doing what you need to from that revenue management side. And so we have folks who, when they're, trying to figure out, should I improve my doors? Jackie with Everbright, amazing product there. And when you're trying to figure out, and you can do, like, can you spend, the question we get sometimes, I know I'm kind of talking in circles, but hang with me.
You're fine.
Like, should you spend, just say $30,000 on your property to improve it? And when will you get that back? Because sometimes when we're brought to the table and folks are looking to sell, they immediately go, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this to get my property looking better, to bring more value. So like, if they don't take anything else away today, I want them to understand, when you worry about your curb appeal or concerned about your curb appeal, is not at the time of sale. The curb appeal is for your customer. And then that customer creates that cash flow, that net operating income that the investor is going to care about. So if you spend $30,000, $40,000 on improving your facility. So I did a little spreadsheet. And so if you're trying to figure out, should you do this and when you're going to sell and all that kind of stuff, just holler at me and I'll plug your numbers into our spreadsheet. Like if you had 300 units and you're getting like $1.15 a square foot, you're about a 45,000, just roughly 45,000 square foot facility and a $50,000 rent roll. Just know if you spent like, and all you did was, increase those rents, those existing customers by 5%, just 5%. Over 3 years, you're going to get that back just in outright cash flow, just 5% off your rent roll. You're going to get that 40 grand, 40, 50 grand back. And it's also going to have increased your value just at a conservative 7 cap. You're also going to be you're going to be right at a $220,000 increase in value over that 30 grand. So you're going to get your 30 grand back in cash flow. Okay. And then you're going to have brought your value up over $200,000. And so this is why we do curb appeal. This is why it matters what customer you are attracting. This is why you put in a parapet wall with higher ceilings and wide drive aisles. Because some people, if you don't know any better, when you're designing and working on your facility, you're like, oh, maximum square feet, maximum square feet. Not in every market, y'all. We looked at a property. I did a valuation on a site layout, and he had 80,000 square feet because he's like, can you imagine when all that's rented? I said, no, I can't at all, because like your market won't rent but 40,000 square foot. So I really can't imagine when 80 is going to rent, because it's not an 80,000 square foot market. But if you build a 40,000 square foot facility, you can do that in phases and do the extra things. You've got people here that will pay you money that is going to be as much as those primary markets are getting, or we're getting during the prime time. We won't talk about what primary markets are getting today, right? But yeah, so that's why curb appeal is important. It is important because it's going to convert to your cash flow, which is more money in the bank for you every month. And then if you're like, well, I'm not selling, so valuations don't really matter, shame on you, because that means you're not being a good steward of what you've got, is what that means. Right. Yeah. You know, and so
life happens, and you may end up having to sell when you didn't think you were going to. Yeah.
Yes, or just refinance. You may need to refinance. You know, the same difference from that perspective of your valuation is going to matter. And so definitely when you're thinking curb appeal, because I said in coming on that I wanted to be sure I kept that broker hat on and with the honor hat. So when I see curb appeal, I'm like, okay, should I redo my doors? You know, that may be a best option for you, but like, are you, you know, it's not a good option if you're not even going to do your revenue management. It's not the door getting redone that brings the value to the property. It is the door getting redone, you keeping your property up, pushing your rates, increasing your revenue. Flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you mentioned on the development side, talking about, you know, squeezing that 80,000 square foot out when really all you need to build is 40. But I see that same mistake on just design, because people will often sacrifice things like those extra wide driveways so they can add just one more row of buildings, because, you know, that's extra income, when really you're just making a mess of your property. And a lot of it's going to be underutilized because you can't get moving trucks where they need to be. You can't get in and out. You jam up your own traffic flow, and you're not going to be able to rent that like you would if you just left that last building off, stretch things out just a little bit, and really make it a good quality property instead of being so focused on the quantity of units that you can get in.
Yes.
See that mistake a lot. And that really happens when you're building in phases. and you don't think about what it needs to look like in the end. You just start sticking buildings in year after year with no actual pre-planning. You can really end up in a mess. So,
Mhm.
yeah, got to be thinking about that curb appeal at every stage, even in those plans.
Yes.
So, love it. Okay, so our question of the day is, what are three best tips and tricks for making the most out of your physical or online curb appeal? So, bit of a recap. Our best three tips and tricks. It's hard
Same
to narrow it
answer.
down to three, isn't it?
No, it's the same answer. Whatever it is that makes you real, relatable, and reliable.
Those
Like
are your three, real,
those are my
relatable, and
three.
reliable.
If and like I know that y'all are like, she just said that. Well, you know what? This is kind of like a good Baptist message for y'all today.
I
I
love
just
it.
keep saying the same thing because like it's true, like it needs to resonate. Like your best tips is just keeping it real, relatable, and reliable. And and you depending on what market you're, because there's so, like for me, keeping that grass cut, those, the fence lines clean now that the property's already built, because my parapet, my whole curb appeal there as a whole is already there, right? And now you've got to, I want to have started out like I can hold out, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? So, if you've not done that, then you need to drop back and bring everything back up to where it needs to be when you opened your doors. And so for me, it's that road sign that plays hugely into my curb appeal. But I can't name just three, because like even the fact that our where you pull in our drive gets enough has enough room to get the truck and the trailer, the back end of it, out of the road,
Yeah.
that like you don't have to worry when you come to our facility. You're not going to be pickled up and like worried that somebody's going to come by and hit the back. You're going to have plenty of room to get in while you're doing your access code. So
Yeah.
definitely the absolutely smallest of things. Big fan. Luke's favorite thing is wide drive aisles. I will tell you, he is a wide drive aisles kind of guy. And
Oh,
we've always driven big trucks. And so I guess that's probably in part of,
mhm.
where that comes from. Um, I love white doors and hallways and lights and floors that pop and shine.
Mhm.
I don't like that matte look. I like a shiny floor.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think that's just the combination of everything that you just kind of pull off, and as it comes together from, if nothing else, just pressure wash everything once a year, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I don't mean necessarily your doors and then wet your stuff on the other side. So be careful about that. We all
Be
know.
careful. Yeah.
But yeah, so welcome the folks to come give you an honest opinion of your property, your
Yeah.
specific property. Because all the way down to if your road sign letters are dingy, shame on you. I probably have a list of about 100 things and not three.
Yeah. No, it's really hard to narrow down. Every now and then I'm on a property there that will make me go, "Ooh, I really like that." Like you said, Luke says about the wide driveways of like, "Yes, I love this." The other day we were at a Storage Max property, and it's a brand new building that they've just done, and the center aisle is a good like 8 feet wide. It was huge. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And you could see completely through from one end of the building to the other, and your smaller hallways came off of that. So when you did your move, it didn't feel like you were walking in, because sometimes those climate control buildings can feel really claustrophobic. And I'm thinking, I'm just walking around taking pictures and, doing my auditing kind of thing with that kind of hat on. But as a customer, when I'm unloading my truck, and you walk in and your first experience is you're walking into a little, tiny hallway, and you're trying to maneuver, that's difficult. And it doesn't really feel that safe. You like that open air kind of
Yeah.
feel. And it was the coolest feature to just say, this is a huge hallway. It felt so open. It felt so inviting. There was so much daylight coming in. Like the lighting didn't even matter, because daylight was lighting, this huge space. So just really well done. So thinking about those little details can make such a huge, huge impact on how others see your property. So, but yeah.
I think mine would be the retail glass storefront doors, because I was hesitant about that when it was, I was kind of challenged on that one, like, I dare you to. And,
Huh?
then the part of me was like, oh, but people are moving in and out. Those will get, busted or what have you. But that has been a game changer, just on the overall appearance of the facility.
Right. Right. Yeah, because so often it's just a solid metal door. And like you said, from a safety standpoint, if you're there by yourself, you don't know what's on the other side of the door when you open it, coming in or
Mhm.
out. And that can be a little bit intimidating if you're on the property alone. So good little takeaways. I love that. Jane, this has been fantastic. I I think we did Tommy proud. I'm gonna hope that when he listens to this, he's like, "Oh my gosh, you all killed it." So, how can people find you if they want to reach out to Jane Sauls to talk to you after this?
Very good. You can email me at jane@saulstoragegroup.com. When you do the email address, it is S as in Sam, AULS, and storage. So two S's there, bumped up in the middle. My cell phone is 770-328-2379. I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So I do welcome you to come along on those adventures as well. So any way that I can help you, if you just want a fresh set of eyes, one of our team can come out and walk your property. We'll try not to be like my good friend and actually hurt your feelings. But we do keep it real. So,
I'll be
but
honest, but you'll be really nice about it.
yes, and we will make it make sense in the sense of, okay, if you're going to spend 50 grand, here's what you're going to have to do to get it back.
Right. I love it. Love it. And you guys definitely check out Little Vine on social media. Jane's always on there. Super cool. Love that. Also, you can find past sessions at storagepug.com/resources. And also, this will drop on our next podcast, I think tomorrow, if Josh is ready for that. And every week, of course, new podcasts are dropping as well. So be sure to check us out. Next month is increasing occupancy with a great experience. Super excited about that one. Get our summer jams going here. Um, Thank you from the teams at Storage Pug and Lighthouse Storage Solutions. We love you guys. Love that you come back month after month and are still hanging with us, even if it's just to hear me talk to myself for 10 solid minutes. You guys are awesome. Remember, you can always hear the lobby talk before the session even starts at 1:30 when we have these Gabfocus events. So love you guys bunches. Jane, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you guys have a good day.